to Make That Paper, the show where we talk about all the crazy jobs we do to make the cash we need to pursue our artistic dreams.
And to buy yourself some official Grinch-themed Reeboks.
Those were cool.
Yeah.
Today, we are talking about the Swarovski slinging situation, or the old tending to teddy bears biz, and the bliss to be found in trafficking high-end menswear. We are your hosts, Jaime Parker Stickle.
And Jason Bieber.
And in this episode, we are talking to an actress and comedian who, after winning 2 episodes of Comedy Central's comedy competition game show, Midnight, became a staff writer on the show.
Now she's writing for and frequently appearing on the popular YouTube series Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link.
And we are so excited to welcome the very funny, the very talented Emily Fleming and talk about her eating Whoppers.
I mean, I love having the roof of my mouth just demolished by Whoppers. But no, Mythical Kitchen, the kitchen channel for the show, which is like where it consists of the 4 kitcheneers who make all the food for the main channel and for their show and everything in between. I mean,
it's really sciencey.
It's pretty sciencey in there. Yeah. And it's kind of like obsessive level, like sciencey stuff. It's pretty funny. I mean, I couldn't do what they do, that's for sure. And that's, I guess, why they keep having me back.
No fear of encroachment.
Because they asked me, turn on this food processor, and I'm like, don't know how.
I see spinning blades, and I realize I'm in the wrong room.
Yes, exactly. For some reason I keep getting asked to do that, and I don't know how to do any of it.
I think that's great. I think this is good. Let's talk about that for a second, because as a writer and a comedian and an actress, I mean, you've had parts on like the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which is hilarious. But how did you end up here in food entertainment?
I don't know. Well, I mean, Good Mythical Morning is not a food channel per se. There's we do a lot of stuff with food, and we have I think that food is something that, is very engaging for every single human being. So it's something that's easy to connect with other people over. So it's often like, popular on the internet and beyond. But it's not a food channel per se, but it's,
right. Yeah.
They're good at it. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Mythical Kitchen channel is so cool, and I hope people all go and watch it. It's like a spin-off of the main channel, which watch both. It's amazing. But I think I just go wherever people tell me to go, pretty much. If they're like, hey, be on camera for this, I will probably say yes. Like, I will say yes to just about everything. Except for, like, I don't know, don't like Human Centipede me or something. But I will show up and eat food and talk forever. But I started working for Mythical in like 2018 when they had the season 22, which was like a season that was extended. It was like an expanded version of the show, which now we're back to the standard format of what we had. But for a while there, it was like this experimental idea of what they're going to do more episodes. It was just more of everything. So I heard about the job through a couple of different people. Jordan Morris is one of them who you've had on your podcast. He's the best, the funniest hilarious guy. Lovely, hilarious, awesome book, Bubble, his graphic novel. Gotta get it. It's so good. Also,
it's so good.
The podcast, it's the first scripted podcast I've ever listened to.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then it became, what it is now, which is pretty amazing.
And rightfully so.
But it is one of those stories, and we're going to talk about Emily, don't worry. But it is one of those stories, Jordan's story is one of those things that it's a unicorn in the business.
Yeah. He started something, I think.
Yeah. He started something. I mean, it's very impressive, and it's aspirational for sure. And he's such a nice human on top of it. So you couldn't ask for it to happen to somebody better.
Yeah. He's also somebody who, he's always thinking of ways to help out everybody he's worked with, I mean, at least from my experience. But yeah, he and I worked together on At Midnight on Comedy Central, and that was like my first writing job ever. I was on the show a few times as a contestant. I won twice, not to brag. These people were obliterated, and they deserved it.
You owned their asses.
Yes, no, it was really fun, but yeah. So I got lucky and wrote a packet, and I knew a couple people who worked there, a couple writers, and
Okay, so you didn't actually they didn't just say, "Oh, you've won twice, now you write for us."
no. I'd written a packet before. I am not like awesome at packets, I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hard.
they're not-
I feel like I'm getting better. One of the best things about writing packets for a show that already exists is you know the format and stuff.
Mhm.
But a lot of packet writing is for shows that don't exist yet.
Exactly.
And you're just flying blind.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I don't know.
But you knew you wanted to write.
No.
No. Okay. You were like, I need to get paid, and comedy isn't paying
Well,
when
I
I do
think-
stand up.
I think this is
Pretty much.
maybe the part where we do a little rewinding and we kind of go back to
Yeah.
the beginning and talk about, where did you get, you got your start. You started in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in. I mean, I've always known that I wanted to be a performer or something in the industry. I've literally always. I started doing like theater camps and public speaking competitions and mock trial and stuff in middle school and high school. I did forensics, which I know sounds like CSI or something, which it's not.
It's
in this
speaking.
case.
It's speaking competitions. I did forensics as well. Yeah.
I know.
Look
It's
at you
like,
two peas in a pod.
why is I know this is
Yeah.
cool, but it's like, what the hell is with this Glee Club stuff? Where is my forensics show?
Yeah. Why
Where is the public speaking?
does nobody know about it when I say it and they're like, oh, so you did like investigative things in high school?
No.
No.
Yeah, no, it drives me nuts having to explain it. And I've talked about it on other podcasts, and it always gets cut because I think
Not
people
cutting
are
it.
bored to tears whenever you talk about it. But like,
I'm going to
it
give you
was-
30 seconds of uncut talking about forensics, and then
I
that's
want
it.
to do this entire podcast about forensics and public speaking competitions in middle school and high school, and the annoying people that we were doing it.
Fair.
God, I was so into it, dude. My favorite thing was the judges were always just the parents who were there.
Yes.
It's
Teachers, faculty.
Yeah, it's like not real. Like
It's not real.
I went to state in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We got to stay in a hotel and stuff. It was awesome. Anyway, so I did those. I was like really into it. Improv to me was not like my thing, but in high school I did audition for the Rocket Town. Fists of Funk was the name of the book.
This is a funk.
I
You heard it
just-
here first.
I haven't said it out loud. It's so long.
Fists of funk.
Jesus, it's so embarrassing. But yeah, we did malls.
Oh, geez.
Which
sweet
is a
Jesus.
totally comfortable venue to perform in.
My favorite thing about it was it wasn't necessarily teens that auditioned and who made it through the classes and everything onto the team. It was like divorcees in their 30s and 40s.
Oh my
favorite.
God.
And, a 12-year-old boy who did a good Austin Powers impression.
Which is all it takes.
Yeah.
Hey, you said you were performing in the mall. Were you performing by any chance in like the same mall where you were working?
Yeah, I performed in
Oh,
that mall next to the Payless shoe store at Green Hills Galleria.
Oh, God. Oh, you were working at Payless?
No,
Oh.
the stage was next to the Payless.
Oh, okay.
Where I
Oh,
performed.
God.
I worked in that mall. Actually, so you all have me kind of like preliminarily tell you a few jobs I've worked, but the list is quite extensive, and I'm going to do my best to stay on tangent. But
Feel free to like, we didn't light the fire and just list them all rapid fire.
yeah. So that mall, in Nashville. When I got out of college, I was just doing, everything. I worked at restaurants. I'm very bad at restaurants. I know that everybody says they have ADHD, but I am medicated, diagnosed since childhood. Like it's legit, you people. Not to say that it's not legit in other cases, but I'm saying it bothers other people.
I understand that because I am legitimately diagnosed to have a panic disorder, and I work to not be on medication for it, but I'm on medication for it. And people are like, I get it. I have such bad anxiety. And I'm like, no, bitch, I am under a table having 5 panic attacks a day if I don't take medicine. Like it doesn't go away.
My favorite thing is how everyone is like, oh yeah, I have it too. I think I have it too. And you're like, yeah, but you've been annoyed by how much I talk in this conversation.
Right.
And I've spent my life trying to address that. You don't seem to be crippled by anything in this moment. I am constantly. There's a difference. Are you constantly uncomfortable in your own brain? Are you doing that?
Right. Do you have voices that circulate on autoplay and never go away saying you're terrible, you're terrible, you're terrible, you're terrible?
Or did you just do Adderall in college and it felt good?
Yeah.
And you just want more of it.
Right.
Because that's what I'm banking on. But anyway, so
I get her, man.
Yeah.
Sure.
I get her.
There's a difference.
I did like Adderall in college.
Everybody did. And then some of us needed it. And then when they find out you have ADHD, oh boy, here it comes.
Yeah.
You find out who's your friend. And then
hey, so you've got Adderall then, huh?
I'm like, no, I have time-released Concerta, and it's not something you can crush up. Leave me alone. So I worked in this mall. I was trying to figure out, and the waiting tables thing, boy, I wasn't good at it. I was fired from a old spaghetti factory after 2 weeks of working there because they had those huge trays. I don't know how servers do this. Like, y'all tip the hell out of your servers. Like, I don't. But yeah, they had those huge trays that are like the size of a freaking flying saucer. And at Old Spaghetti Factory, you have to give minestrone soup to everyone. Everyone gets it. Everyone also gets Neapolitan ice cream, which also has an Italian name, and I can't remember what it is.
Oh yeah.
Spumoni?
Spumoni. Is it
Spumoni? I'm like, just call it ice cream, please. But yeah, Spumoni. And
I mean, Neapolitan is Italian.
Is it?
It is, but for some reason, that's what's on all of the cartridges or on all the boxes when you go to the grocery store. But then you go to Old Spaghetti Factory and they change it up on you, and you're like, Jesus.
Looking up Spumoni right now.
Just trying to live. But yeah, no. So you got to do the minestrone soup, and you got to bring it out on this huge tray, right? I may have scalded a 9-year-old birthday party.
That's tragic.
Party, not a person, a party.
Oh, a whole lot of 9-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you know what the difference with Spumoni is? They don't do vanilla, they do pistachio.
Oh.
It's
and you know what? That sounds a little better, actually.
Yeah.
It really does, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so
there we go. Jamie.
Good on you, Old Spaghetti Factory.
Here we go.
There's no ye in the
there
title.
ought to be a
There
ye
really
old.
Should be.
With an E at the end of old.
Yeah. I liked that place. It's just, that is a very hard job. Unnecessarily hard. I don't think serving should be that hard.
Serving's very hard. And I was demoted from each restaurant I tried it at to hostess. And
is that demoted? I thought that was more powerful.
Oh, you make no money and you get no tips. It's a demotion, but it is also very difficult because I would have a lot of
in my section and
and I was like, where's your section? And I didn't understand the tables or the design layout. And I was like, this is very confusing. I can't do this. And I would quit.
Yeah, that stuff is awful. And also people, have food allergies. There's a lot of pressure. It's like a lot of pressure to not poison people on a regular basis.
Which it's really the unspoken golden rule of food service.
Yeah, don't poison people.
Do we have any commercials today?
Let's take a quick break and see. You know what I bet our listeners are thinking right now?
What's that, Bieber?
They're probably thinking, this podcast thing is so easy. I could start my own podcast. And you know what? They're right.
Yeah, we've been using Anchor for a few months now, and it has totally changed our game. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain.
It's free.
I said, let me explain.
Fine.
There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere podcasts are streamed. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. I mean, it's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place.
And it's free.
Yes. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's enough of them. Now back to us.
Yeah, and then you're hoping someone will pay you.
Yeah.
You're just hoping. There's no guarantee.
You give them everything. You give them all your goods, all your service.
Yeah, you're wearing Dansko grip shoes, and like you smell like fried nasty food when you go home. It's a thankless job.
That smell doesn't come out of you. You have to throw those clothes away. I worked at Starbucks for so long that I had to throw the shoes away, the clothes, and my hair smelled like coffee for at least 6 months after I stopped working there.
Yeah. It's you gotta tip these people. Like I know that, and the crazy thing is I think it's insane that we have to do it. I think it's insane that the tipping,
right, they should be paid a fair wage.
They should be paid a fair wage.
Yeah.
But they should be paid a lot because it is nice to be served. It's very nice.
I would be very happy to just, blanket, like just increase the price of everything by 20% and then
pay them.
And then have a reasonable tip be like, oh, I'm going to give you an extra $5.
Yeah, I don't think I think some servers like tips because, sometimes people leave like $100 tip on like,
sure,
a $20 meal.
Such a weird umbrella of discrimination issues that I think exist with tipping that make it so inappropriate.
Like, I 100% agree.
Tipping,
you should be paid a fair wage, and then anything, if people tip on top of that because it's culture now, bonus.
It's also like, I think after this, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about talking about the pandemic. Sometimes with YouTube, you have to put a fucking disclaimer on there, and it's like, just so in case here's Fauci's website. Don't sue us. Yeah, exactly. But it's insane. These people are like risking their lives and and stuff, and we're still doing this. Like maybe we'll give them a little morsel of something. Like it's weird. It's so weird.
When we were sending Instacart shoppers out onto the front lines to provide food for our families.
They should be paid so much money. And I think it's one of the hardest customer service jobs that you can absolutely do. That, and I think probably phone operator stuff is got to be horrible. I have not done that, but I hope I never have to. But retail is kind of where I think I thrived in terms of the day job circuit.
You listed, I mean, in the mall, you listed, I don't know if it's the same mall, but you listed working at Swarovski Crystals.
I worked at two different Swarovskis. I also worked at two different stores in the same mall at the same time.
Oh, so, like you're just going back and forth between.
Yes, the UPS guy was very confused, which was one of my favorite things, was being like, hey, dude. And you'd be like, why are you here? You signed for something 2 hours ago over there. And I'm like, I know.
This is when I'd say I had a twin. Oh, that's my twin.
Yeah. I just wear all black because that's kind of the standard retail
mall gear.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I feel like, did you ever get like 2 shifts at the same time and have to like do that, like that TV date thing where you're on a date with 2 people and you just run back and forth?
Amazing. That's an amazing. I am like just like every other comedian trying to write sitcoms about the experience, but like that is a great way to do it. But no, I unfortunately I never did that. I was asked, so I would have 2 shifts in the same day. Like I would go work the
Emily
morning.
takes a lot of bathroom breaks.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, I would work like the morning at Swarovski Crystal, and then I would walk over to Judith Bright, which was this. It still exists in Nashville, but it's in like a fabulous kind of house on 12th Avenue South, which is a place that you go to Nashville, which everybody does now. 12th Avenue is kind of a nice little strip of little shops and restaurants and things. But Judith Bright, you make the jewelry as well as selling it.
Oh.
So
you make it, or do customers make it?
Well, the first job I ever had was in estate jewelry. I was like, when I was 15, I was working for this store that still exists in Nashville. You should totally go. AJ Martin Estate Jewelry. I warn you, she will tear you apart.
Okay, sounds like a thrill.
Yeah, she will tear you apart, but she has the best stuff. It's true.
Is it like an Ed DeBevics type situation where that's part of the experience of being torn down?
Yeah. It's like if there was a Seinfeld like equivalent to the soup Nazi, this is the jewelry version.
Nazi.
How was it to work for her?
She's Jewish though, so I mean, not entirely. I don't think she'd appreciate me saying.
I'm sure the soup Nazi had a little Jewish in his blood too.
I don't know, but she.
He's on Cameo. We could ask him.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. No diamond stud earrings, pave cut for you. Exactly. No, she's amazing. I'll probably hit her up when I come home for the holidays, and sometimes I'll offer to like organize some paperwork or something for her.
So you go home and you go to your old employers and you're like, hey, I want to work while I'm here.
Yeah.
What have you got?
I'll pick up a shift occasionally. Like, it's the best time of year in retail is Christmas.
Oh, 100%.
It's so fun. Like, everybody's busy. There's like fun decorations. There's like the music is a blessing and a curse, I think everyone knows, but it's the best. You get to wear red lipstick. I love it. I love that time of year in retail. And usually if you're on commission, you are making bank. Like, not every store I've worked in does commission. I would love to talk about commission policies.
Let's do.
Oh boy. So Swarovski is one of those places. It's corporate.
Yeah.
You do get benefits like health insurance and all that, but
which teenagers totally care about.
Yeah, no one gives a shit. But
she worked there after graduating.
Yeah.
College.
Well, 26, you get to stay on your parents' insurance, which is thank you, Obama. But like, when I went to New York, I worked at a different Swarovski store, but in the mall in Tennessee, I was paid $9 an hour. I was also paid $9. I think I was paid $9.50 at Judith Bright, and I was making.
And if you'd managed to line those shifts up right, that's $18.50 an hour.
I mean, no, you could.
Just saying.
It's impossible.
A lot of bathroom breaks. It's possible.
Yeah, and Tennessee, it's like, even though I think there's no state tax, the sales tax will get you in Nashville, but it'll get you no matter what. But yeah, so getting paid in Nashville for things like that is not as good as doing it in New York or LA. You get like, it's more competitive in bigger cities, which I think it should be more competitive in Nashville at this point, because everybody is moving there and the industry is booming. So I really hope that employers in Nashville are paying your retail employees at least $15 an hour plus commission. Like, this $9 an hour thing that I went through, please don't do it. It's the worst.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think when I worked at Macy's, I worked in cosmetics, but I was making $9 an hour plus 3% commission for things I sold at our brand. If I sold things that were a different brand, like I worked for Prescriptives, if I sold something that was Lancome, I'd get 1% commission.
Ooh, I am a Lancome bitch. If you want to talk Lancome sometime, sorry, I got a little distracted once you Lancome. But yeah.
A time release needs to kick in.
It hasn't. Yeah. I'm just like, ooh, Lancome. I really want some of that Regenerist serum. That stuff's $150 a bottle. How am I going to get it? Yeah. But so you sold that, and then you could get does Lancome give you commission, good commission?
Well, it wasn't through the company, like they pay part of your salary, but it's through Macy's or Nordstrom's. So it's their policies. So yeah. So if you sold your own line, you got 3% commission plus your hourly. And if you sold someone else's line, you got 1%.
It's like staying in network.
That's true. That's really interesting. A department store stuff is really complicated. Like I've never worked in a department store, but I definitely admire people who work retail in department stores, because you can also piss off people from other departments. Because then if you sell something in the shoe department, in the ladies' shoe department, and then you like go down another floor and you're trying to sell, I mean, you've crossed a line.
You've crossed the line.
And if they can check out anywhere, they can go check out in the men's department with a ladies thing, and then you don't get the sale. You don't get the commission. Because
there were some fights in cosmetics because people will want one thing from Lancome, one thing from Estee Lauder, and one thing from Prescriptive. So you want to be the lucky person. They come up to the Prescriptives counter and they're like, oh, I need my foundation. So you mix their foundation. Then they're like, but I need a thing from Lancome. And you're like, oh, I can get it for you. And the Lancome girl hears you and she's like, no, just pass me the foundation and I'll get her mascara. And you're like, I'm going to take her around and get her stuff. And the woman's like, no. And the customer's like, I'll just pay separately for each item. And you're like, no, bitch, I got this big sale.
Yes. Then the poor customer is caught in the
middle of the crossfire.
Wondering, why are mom and dad fighting? I don't get it.
It's bad.
Exactly. You get caught in this crossfire thing. I remember interviewing, Jack Spade was my favorite retail job I've ever had.
This was in
New York.
When
I was working at Swarovski in the mall, and then this other jewelry store. I've worked in jewelry, making jewelry, selling jewelry for a long time. But I like met this woman who, Melissa, she was like the artistic director for Jack Spade. She was just amazing. I met this woman at like a bar in New York. I was working for a different retail store called Folie Folie, which is a Greek brand with a French name. And
makes sense.
We'll run with it.
I was not having a great time working at that place, but the ladies who worked there were great, and we would all go out on the company card and get dinner or something.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember the name of this restaurant. It was so good. I worked in Soho in New York for the most part, so I worked at Swarovski Crystallized after the regular Swarovski stores. So the regular Swarovski stores are like, there's jewelry. And just so people know, there is rock crystal that is naturally forming in the earth. And then there is crystal. Crystal is glass with lead in it.
Okay.
Sold for an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Swarovski was mainly like, what I learned through all the training about Swarovski is that one of their biggest assets, yes, they kind of have a monopoly on the like crystal thing. They're like the most famous one. And I believe that they're Swedish. It's a Swedish brand. And I believe it's either Swiss or Swedish. I should remember. But they built, the founder, whatever, the family built this machine that is like precision faceting. So the sparkle is what is really the big selling point, like the clarity and sparkle and light reflection. They have like a big business in, chandeliers, and the Oscars has like all Swarovski stuff everywhere. It's like the stuff that reflects the most light, but they also do camera lenses. They do binoculars, telescopes. There's like a whole other realm of like tech crystal that they do.
That's cool.
And it's really interesting, and it's big money. Like they've really got a hold on it. But so then they have this thing that, it does not exist anymore. I worked at a lot of places that no longer exist.
And she's very young, so don't get any ideas. This is how fast things close down.
Not, though. I think I'm in there. Is what I'm saying. I'm not very young. I'm just still here, like there's, I feel like, I'm at that range on YouTube when they ask like, what's your age range? And there's like 25 to 34 is like, that's where you're like, I'm still kicking, but I'm 35. So I've reached the 35 to 44 where it's like, I'm still here. I'm still on the internet.
They're a little less interested in trying to sell you things.
Yeah, and they don't know how to sell me stuff.
Right. You're in my age range, and you're gonna go audition to play the mother of someone who's in the 25 to 34, and you're like, but I'm 35.
Whose jacked up mother I would play. Like I've been in auditions. The first audition I had in LA was for a commercial where I didn't even have lines. They just put me on a blanket with a baby and another woman, me and another woman, and gave us like some trains, little toy trains, and then just saw who the baby liked more.
Wow.
Huh. Who did the baby like more?
Didn't like either one of us.
Yeah.
And the mom was like one of those crunchy hippie ladies, and she's like, Skylar, like just like yelling Skylar over and over again. And I was just like, this is a nightmare. This is my nightmare.
Why am I doing this?
I don't like children. I don't want them. I like children. Like, I think they should live, but like, I don't want to play with them.
You believe in like no kill shelters.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because one of the jobs you did and loved was working at Eat With Your Bare Hands Cafe inside the Build-A-Bear store, which is full of children.
Everywhere.
I don't know if that still exists. I think it was on Fifth Avenue in New York City.
Did you scald any of those children?
No, but those children gave me strep throat so bad that I got vertigo and fell over in the kitchen.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
I remember that. They are gross. Children are gross.
Yeah, we've got one. We know.
Yeah, we have a 6-year-old.
Oh, so I worked at that Swarovski store. So fun. Didn't pay shit, but I had a good time. And then I moved to New York because I was opening for a stand-up comic on the road briefly who was from New York, and he kind of just went, just do it.
Smart.
I'll kind of connect you with people at the Creek and the Cave, which was like a club that, there's a lot of things that don't exist anymore because of the pandemic, but I guess the Creek and the Cave is now in Austin, Texas. But it was in New York, and it was like a clubhouse for a lot of kind of alt comedians that weren't necessarily like seasoned club comedians. We were kind of the more, newer, more experimental comedians, which I loved that place. And so he kind of told me, just do it. There's people there you can meet. I'll tell people you're coming. I still am friends with so many people from that place. And then I just hit the pavement in Soho when I got there. So I applied to Dash. I remember that. That's like the Kardashian
store. Yeah. Is that still around? Didn't they close those?
I don't know if it's still around, but it was in Soho, and I applied to American Apparel, of course. It's kind of like, everybody goes for that. But the Dash store, I just remember going, there's no way they're hiring me. There's like a level of stiletto wearing sales girl in New York that it is competitive. Like you got to be the hottest, thinnest, trendiest girl. And I wasn't going to book that. But I saw this Swarovski store. It was enormous. And it said Swarovski crystallized. It didn't just say Swarovski, which I was like, what is that? And went in, it's enormous. Like there was there was a wall, and they called it the Wall of Light. And it was a wall of just loose crystals. So like you could open a drawer and buy like beads that are Swarovski crystals, or like ones that you can glue to stuff, or pave ones for people who make jewelry, who want to set them and things. And then you could buy the like jewelry settings to make your own Swarovski jewelry.
That's cool.
It was a pain in the asshole because people did not know how to make their own jewelry. So I'm trying to make commission over here, but someone's like, how? And then you're like, oh my God, this is a $15 sale, and I got to help someone hot glue a damn crystal into something.
Wouldn't you rather come look at an exotic crystal polar bear?
Well, yeah, I would make you had to wear white gloves at Swarovski to handle the crystals.
Of course.
I kind of love a costume. Anytime you're going to give me something.
Sure. More pageantry.
Like, absolutely. Let me get the white gloves. And then you'd open also the little glass doors to open the case to get the crystals would get smudged. So you got to wear those gloves. My favorite thing about the regular Swarovski stores is the figurines, because it's absolutely obsolete.
Oh.
Like that is.
Well, obsolete implies that it ever had a purpose.
Listen, old ladies from our grandma's age. This is something collecting and having just like little nice things.
Tchotchkes.
Little
Really
tchotchkes.
high-end tchotchkes.
Snacks.
That gave them joy, and it still
Yeah.
does for a lot of women and some men. I've learned. But yeah, the thing is, it collects dust. You got to like polish it with your little gloves. But the amount of money it would cost to get a Lilo and Stitch Swarovski crystal figurine. God, the amount of like care and presentation I'd have to do to be like, would you like to see Lilo or both? Oh, here, let me bring you over to and you'd have to get this little.
Should I enact the scene between them when he's about to go home?
Who's the dom and who's the sub? Just tell me. But yeah, it was ridiculous.
I feel like I'm thinking of a very different Lilo and Stitch movie.
Yeah, I know. Well, I would to pass the time because it wasn't like the hottest store in the Green Hills Mall. Let's be real.
Okay.
It was like I had a lot of free time in there. You would have a client books. Boy, I could get into that. I had a $2 million client book at Jack Spade. I sold $2 million in 1 year.
What?
If I was going to work at a store in New York, it'd be a bookstore. I'm just going to let you know. Like,
Jamie's really against making money.
No kidding.
No, I think bookstores in New York make money.
Also, that's the Subway of retail stores. Like, not the food. I'm talking about people live in those stores. You know.
But like, still, the smell of books. If I have to sit and
shit, what? I mean, you'd be regular. That's good.
Yeah.
I would live off someone else's money, but I don't think, you know, as somebody who travels to New York regularly, not since the pandemic, but because my family, Jason's family's there, like my in-laws, everyone's there.
Yeah.
I don't like shopping in New York. I find it overwhelming.
You just got to not give a shit because they don't.
Well, they don't give a shit about you and they don't think that you're going to be spending any money. And you're just like, can I please get a dressing room or is there a bathroom? And it's like, no. And no.
We can't help you.
No.
The bathrooms are usually a hazard also.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Every time someone's like, can I use a bathroom? I'm like, no.
Nope.
Like there are ladders, loose wires, like a puddle.
And you have to go through a mine shaft to get to it.
Exactly. I'm not dealing with like hauling you through a tunnel.
No.
I'm just not doing it. But I do think it's crazy the bathrooms aren't as accessible as they are in like in malls. There's bathrooms.
There's bathrooms everywhere.
But in Soho, which is like the kind of like the mall in New York, in my opinion. I know that there's like Midtown where there's a lot of department stores, Lord and Taylor and all that stuff. And those places have bathrooms. But like Soho really should have more access to some bathrooms.
Right. 100%.
But yeah, no, it just sucked. I hated telling. I never worked in a store that had a bathroom that was accessible to customers, except for Swarovski Crystallized, because there was a restaurant in the back of the store. So this is why this place failed, by the way. It was too cool. Like it was like we had an event space you would walk in the wall of light with all the beads, and then we had designer made Swarovski jewelry. So Yoko Ono had a little line, ugliest fucking line in the whole goddamn store. God bless her.
It's
God
art.
bless her. She's not a jewelry designer. Yeah. It's okay. You're an icon. You're a legend. You don't have to be.
Yeah, you're a muse.
You're a muse. You're everything. It was just keys. It was just glass keys that were huge, and they broke in half at like a moment's notice. But nobody bought them. But I'm trying. Jean-Paul Gaultier had a line. Christopher Kane had a line. Christopher Kane's was amazing. Like there was some really cool stuff that was happening in there, and it was always like up and coming. Danny Joe was this really cool jewelry. Just look up Danny Joe. It's really cool. DANNIJO.
Did you get a discount? Do you have any Swarovski crystal floating around your place?
You want to see some shit? I've got it. I've got all kinds of Swarovski stuff that is amazing. And I have nowhere to wear it. Like, why would I just drape myself in crystals and go work at a YouTube show? It makes no sense.
I feel like you just answered your own question.
Exactly.
I know. I do wear a lot of jewelry sometimes. It just feels silly, but I love that I have it. I loan it to my friends.
I think you could just go into work, call yourself the Wall of Light. And
yeah.
But you know what? I also think it's sort of like your 401k. You can
I do have a Swarovski 401k that I need to convert. It's got $225 in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have more than that in actual stuff.
It's true, but I would never sell this Swarovski stuff. I'm going to keep it till I die and leave it to somebody because it's so cool. And it is like a betrayal to estate jewelry, which is like, real gems and like stones. So I would wear that Swarovski stuff to the estate jewelry lady. She made fun of me a lot. Like, this god bullshit. And I'm like, yeah.
Let's take a quick break.
Let's get back to the show.
So yeah, you had these designer pieces that were actually really cool.
I just feel like you are in the wrong business. Like the way you're talking about Swarovski.
Oh no, you're very enthusiastic about it.
I feel like,
well, if you work in a place,
what happened to comedy when you're
Wait till I talk about menswear. I mean, I'm very passionate about menswear.
Let's get to menswear.
Right to menswear.
Yeah, let's go.
I met this lady. I talked about that earlier. This woman, Melissa, when I was fully, what a fucking dump. I did get fired from there for throwing a watch at a lady.
Classic retail blunder.
I mean, that place was a nightmare. And I don't know if there are brick and mortar stores anymore. I don't care. I will talk trash about Folie forever if you want me to. It was a Greek brand. It used to be big in the 90s internationally, and watches were kind of the thing they were known for. And the watches were made at one point in Greece. And then they stopped being made in Greece and they were made in China. And we were taught to scratch off this little metal thing that said made in China and sell it to people. And the thing is, they were made, I was told, for $3 a watch, but we were selling them for $300 to $500.
Wow.
And they broke the minute you left. And it made people irate. And justifiably so.
Sure.
So we would have people coming back angry, and corporate didn't care. They're in Greece. They don't care.
They're just counting their 1,000% markup.
Exactly. Like Swarovski is an organized operation. They've got locations all over the world, everywhere. They've got a reputation to upkeep. And it's like, if you got a problem, you got someone to talk to on the ladder. Folie was just like, I'm pretty sure it was just a mob boss operating out of a basement in, like, I don't know, Staten Island or something, just like telling you to hawk these watches. And yeah, there was a lady who would come in and harass me about a watch from the 90s and just would not quit and wanted me to replace it somehow. We didn't make it anymore. It wasn't made. She just wanted a brand new one, kept coming in saying she wanted it because this one was broken. And I would try to get it fixed. And corporate was like, it's too expensive to fix this watch. Just give her a gift certificate. And I'm like, this woman does not want your gift certificate. And she thinks I'm the bridge to somehow getting what she wants. And I am the minimum wage, like, wrong bitch.
You could put that on your name tag. Wrong bitch.
Minimum wage, wrong bitch. And so she just would come in and yell at me and would not leave. It would be like hours. I would have to find a way to convince her to leave. I would give her gift certificates. I would give her discounts on handbags. And she just kept coming back and making my life a living hell. And eventually I threw a watch at her face.
But not her watch.
Yes, her watch.
Oh, you threw her broken ass 1970s watch at her.
Yeah, I threw it at her. And honestly, I don't know how I didn't get sued. But I got fired.
Did she bleed?
I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. I didn't. I left.
You left.
Yeah.
But and I was working there, but I met this fascinating woman, Melissa, who, like, I don't know where she works now, but she's got a beautiful daughter and all this. I still talk to her on Instagram. But she was in that restaurant where we would all go after work and on the company dime. And she was smoking a cigar. I remember that. And you weren't allowed to smoke in there.
Mm.
And I was like, who is this lady? This is the coolest lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting to know her with the other girls who I worked with. They were going to do like a collaboration with Jack Spade, which is where she worked, which I knew Kate Spade because that's the handbag every girl wanted.
Yeah.
In the 2000s. Coach and Kate Spade.
I'm familiar with it, and I feel like I shouldn't be, but that's how prolific or prevalent.
Everywhere. But this was a menswear version of that store, and I was like fascinated by it. And she was like, "Come work for me." And I remember I got in a black car with her that night with a couple of the other girls. We went to another place, and I like drank with her. She was so cool. I got her card. As soon as I got let go from Foley, my like ceremonious exit, I just contacted her, and she's like, "Come in next week." And I interviewed at that place. I had never sold menswear. The manager was just this very charismatic guy who was really cool. And he just was like, "You're a comedian." And that's cool. So when can you start? It was just like, I didn't even, and so I wasn't good at it. Every other place that I've worked was group commission. This is the commission speech. So group commission, places like Swarovski, and a lot of other places, makes it nearly impossible for a salesperson to get commission because it has to be the entire store meets a quota instead of the individual. So a lot of times with Jack Spade, it was the individual. I had a sales quota based on how many hours I worked and my hourly wage. There was like a quota you had to meet. There was like a whole equation I had to learn to figure out if I'd made my quota, but I always made it at Jack Spade. But at Swarovski and Foley, they gave you a store quota. Like the whole team had to sell this every month.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah, and then you're splitting the commission. Like you're not even,
if you qualify to get it at all.
You even qualify to get it, which you never did because the quota was so high. Like It was impossible to get. And I never got commission at Swarovski. Never
Crazy.
Won. And Foley, nah. Also, we got robbed a lot. At Foley, we got robbed a lot. Broken into. There'd be guys who just like, you pull out the drawer of watches, they just take the whole thing and run. Also, this is a crazy story. You know the milk carton kid?
Like missing kids on milk cartons?
The first little boy, the one who made it famous from New York.
Oh, yeah.
He's from the 90s. I don't remember the kid's name.
And they just figured that story out like a year ago. It was it
was 2013, I think. No, I think it was 2012 and 2013. I was working at Foley in Soho. There's another store next to it. I can't remember the name. They got a tip from somebody because they didn't know they've never found the kid. Somebody did an anonymous tip that the body was buried beneath our store.
Oh my God.
So I didn't get paid for a week while they dug up the basement of my store and the store next door to it. Didn't find shit. But shortly after, the man who did it confessed.
Yeah, and he was in a basement. He was a handyman or something, like a maintenance guy, and it was...
So I guess the stores where I worked was like, it used to be apartment buildings. It used to be...
That makes sense.
In association with where they lived. I don't know, but I just remember showing up to work and being like, so there might be a body in the store.
Like, under the store.
Under the store or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's very sad. But also,
I have to pay my rent. It's New York.
Do I get paid today? No, I did not get paid.
No, and you did not make group commission.
No.
You know, we're talking about these jobs and you're doing comedy at night. Are you auditioning during the day too? Like, how do you do that?
It was actually easier to do it in retail than it ever would have been in like food.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
retail, it's like you can take your lunch break, and
Yeah.
the subway was pretty reliable. And luckily, I would work in Soho, and most of the auditions were like in the Lower East Side to Midtown. So I could manage to take my lunch break and run to stuff.
That's great.
And it was awesome. And they weren't as understanding until I worked in menswear. In menswear, like there was a lot of red tape in jewelry and in women's retail. I don't know why that is.
Like corporate red tape, like just rules.
Yeah, there was a lot of rules, and every manager I had really followed them to a T and was afraid to kind of bend the rules or push the envelope. And I think there's something there about how, women are treated in the workplace or expectations of women. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that I was friends with the girls at Kate Spade, and my life at Jack Spade was incredibly different.
Oh yeah.
I had a great time. So, also none of the Jack Spade stores exist anymore, so maybe there's something to that. But basically, Jack Spade was like, it felt like the Wolf of Wall Street, but for retail. Like you hustled, you had books, like you would take clients out for dinner sometimes. I had business cards.
Wow.
I was running a client book of like celebrities and wealthy people. So I'd be like, we're having an event at Soho House. I got to go to Soho House. Like, why? Why?
But well, just because that's high-end men's
store,
retail in New York.
It was crazy, but it wasn't. Jack Spade, I would say, was like the most accessible high-end menswear that there was. It was not Brooks Brothers. It wasn't like super high-end. It was like in the middle.
That's probably the reason they're reaching. They're aspirational.
It was you know what? You'd be a great salesperson. Aspirational is a word that we used a lot. When you would be like, I'd have guys who were businessmen in suits who had a backpack. This was like I could also be mean to people at Jack Spade and make a ton of money. It was so weird. I don't know how I got away with it. Like, I would just like a guy would have a backpack and he'd walk in. I'd be like, "We're gonna get you a new bag, right?" And he'd just like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Mommy, make your lunch."
Wow.
And
this is like, dominatrix shit.
Like it. They were into it, dude.
Of course, that's why that is a hugely successful field.
Like, you're wearing a suit. You're wearing a nice suit, sir. Like, you look good, and you've got a backpack. What are you doing?
Yeah, he needed you.
Can I help you, please? Like, and so then I'd sell him a bag that was very expensive.
Sure. Well, it had to at least match that nice suit he was rocking.
So you were doing well in New York.
At that time, yeah. And then they let me go on auditions. And at that time, I booked like a Gillette campaign. And that was the most fun. And I got to go to Sundance Film Festival and host like a little Gillette suite and bully men into shaving their beards off and making out with people in a kissing booth.
Wow.
It was really weird.
What a promotion.
It was very fun. But my boss at Jack Spade was so supportive and really like encouraged me to go for it.
You just need one good boss who is supportive and it changes your whole career. Why did you move here?
I moved here because I booked a commercial with Comcast that brought me here. And I decided to just stay because I was like, okay, I got this money from this commercial. I'm going to just stay and do the pilot season thing, see what I can do. And I just did this episode of Netflix, The Characters.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, I'm kind of riding a little baby wave here, like a tiny baby wave. And so came out, did that commercial, got the money from that commercial, hung around for a few months. I booked At Midnight, appearing on At Midnight, and was able to like use the characters as like a promotional thing. Like I'm promoting this thing to get on it. Had the best time on there. That show is so fun. And then got lucky and got asked back to be on it again. And then the third time I was on the show, that's when they told me that they were looking for a writer.
So you've had an interesting path to writing full time.
Yeah.
Which is both the reason why we started this show, I feel like is, and also I think as a writer, that part of you have to have all these experiences to be able to have something to write about.
I think that you can just be a good writer without it. But I think in my case, I needed it. And
Which is awesome.
It's what has made me a better writer.
Yeah.
Is doing all of this stuff. And I'm glad I've done all of it. I'm very glad.
And you definitely seem like a person who has found your fascination, not just in the thing that you're trying to do, but in everything that you experience.
That is the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me. Honestly. I mean that. That's kind of what I hope to do forever.
Yeah.
It's just be eternally fascinated by like everything I do, regardless of what I'm doing. I think that's what everybody wants, just to be like passionate about anything you do, whatever you have in the moment, just be really into it.
Honestly, I wish that was true. I think that so many people, especially people who are trying to accomplish or achieve something like the career, like the artistic or entertainment careers, are very dissatisfied with what's right in front of them and can't give it the attention or passion that they think they're preserving for their ultimate goal.
Which then they get there and they're like, well, this is boring as shit. Because Hollywood jobs can be boring as shit.
Every single job, even your dream job, can be a burden.
Because the key word is it's a job. It's work. So no matter what you do, you have to find the fascination, the excitement.
Life is suffering and then we die.
Then we die.
The deal.
So right now you're working on Good Mythical Morning.
I write for Good Mythical Morning. I appear on Mythical Kitchen. You can check that out as well on YouTube. Also, mythicalsociety.com, which is the Patreon, the next level of entertainment for Mythical. I'm on a lot of those things. There's Good Mythical Crew, the podcast, where the crew members talk about behind the scenes stuff. But also I have characters. Dirk and Patty is their names. They're a new metal goth couple that have appeared on Food Feuds, which is a reoccurring series through Good Mythical Morning. They have they had a love story throughout the past 2 years, and we have a wedding special that is airing on November 29th on Mythical Society.
Nice.
I would love it if people subscribe to that and watched it. It's available to all tiers, first, second, third level members. So it is ridiculous. Jordan is in it. Jordan Morris will make an appearance. So yeah, that's kind of the thing I guess I have to plug is that.
Yay.
Cool.
We love that.
Yeah.
We want to thank you so much for saying yes.
Oh God.
Taking the time.
I'm so sorry if it's so rambly and it took 2 hours, but I've had the best time. And honestly, the thing about being passionate about wherever you are, you kind of lit a fire under my ass to go back to work today. So thank you for doing this.
She showed on Monday.
Oh my God. What a great episode to kick off our 6th season.
Heck yeah, it was. It is good to be back.
Oh my God. Next week, we are talking to another super talented, super funny, oh my God actress.
You know her as Val on the Netflix series Workin' Moms. It's Sarah McVie.
I like that you gave yourself the ability to say her name when I really should be allowed to say her name because she's my favorite.
Why don't you go ahead and say her name?
It's Sarah